Welcome to the Community Collective Podcast. I'm Johnny B. Good, the flip-flop agent, and I've partnered with the Davison Area Chamber of Commerce to bring you the stories that shape our local communities. In our third season, our focus is about connecting, learning, and celebrating the voices that make our communities unique. Join us during this third season as we engage in thoughtful conversations and insightful moments. This podcast is commercial-free and supported by both myself, my co-host, and our guests. We would be so appreciative if you could like, share, and subscribe as we continue having conversations that matter and cannot thank you enough for taking the time to listen.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Community Collective Podcast. I am Travis Howell, the Executive Director of the Davison Area Chamber of Commerce. My partner in crime, Johnny B. Good, the flip-flop agent, has a lot going on with family activities and it's summertime, and we're doing the same thing. But I will say, I'm really excited to have our guest join us today. This is someone that we all probably have seen involved with local youth sports or things with their kids or involved in local plays. But every time I see my friend Adam Amon, he has the biggest smile, and I'm always excited to catch up with him. Adam, welcome to the Community Collective Podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me, Travis. I'm super excited to be here, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I know we get to bump into each other every once in a while and catch up, but usually it's kind of, like, hey, how's your family? Or we're at a community event and it's just briefly, give each other that, that bro hug and catch up for a moment. But tonight I am excited because we're going to learn more about what you do in your day-to-day job.
Awesome. I'm very excited.
So for those of you who maybe don't know what Adam does, Adam plays an important role as a team member at Advanced Physical Therapy. So Adam, we'll kind of start off a little bit. Tell us a little bit about Advanced Physical Therapy and kind of what you do there.
So Advanced Physical Therapy started a long time ago, probably 30 years, back in with women named Kim and Linda. And they created this whole idea of getting together this chain of clinics in the area. We have clinics in Fenton, Waterford, and Goodrich, Clarkston, Davison, Grand Blanc, Flint, lots of different clinics. And with the idea that we're going to provide this hometown feel of PT with local employees and still have the resources of those bigger clinics. Recently, a company called Phoenix recently purchased from Kim and Linda, and now we are Advanced Physical Therapy, part of the Phoenix family, but we're still the same hometown clinic that we've been this whole time. We are very busy. We have 3 physical therapists, doctors of physical therapy, and 3 PTAs that work primarily in teams in unison. We're very busy right now with it being summer. We have lots of summer injuries, unfortunately, but business is good, so that's never a bad thing.
All right. I mean, if things are going to happen, it sounds like physical therapy is the place to go. And I will be honest, I grew up, the college I went to had a physical therapy program. So I had lots of my friends that went into that program. We wouldn't see them for a long time because they were so busy with their rotations and everything. And I was always one of their volunteer test subjects when they needed to practice something. So you're like, and basically they would come and say, Travis, you're probably the least flexible person we've ever met. And I'm like, that's why I'm here. That is why I'm here working with my friend as a physical therapist.
Yes.
So I know the value and importance of what advanced physical therapy and physical therapists and everyone part of the team does. So, but you kind of mentioned summer, and I think that's a really important topic for what I think a lot of people and our listeners might need to know about. So, I mean, Adam, as we head into the warmer months, many of our listeners are eager to get outdoors and increase their physical activity. From the physical therapist perspective, what are your top tips for safety, ramping up physical activity, especially in the summertime?
Excellent question, and a great topic to start on, especially since our whole goal in physical therapy is to put ourselves out of a job. I want you guys to be able to do your own care, stretch, strengthen, and do these exercises every day. So that's my number one goal. The best thing that I can give anybody who wants to just get more active, the first thing you got to do, drink lots of water. You have to hydrate your body. Second thing, we don't just go into physical activity, like wake up out of bed and go out there. You want to get moving a little bit. Maybe you go for a short walk. Maybe just do a light stretching routine. It is not the best choice to go from bed to breakfast table, cup of coffee, and go out and go for a 4 mile walk. Some people can do that. By and large, the people who try to do that end up with these kind of nagging, lingering injuries. That's very important to note. When you have something that feels like an injury, don't let it nag and hang on. Those chronic injuries are the hardest ones to get rid of. So if you're hurting, try and take care of it sooner rather than later.
Yeah. So, I mean, it really does. I mean, we've already had those extreme heat, recently. So, I mean, that's, I think, a great example of saying hydrate. So, not only for, I think of like the sports perspective of when I grew up playing sports and coach was like, drink water nonstop, but even for your person that's, an avid walker every day, taking the dog for a walk or getting out there with their friends and going on a walk on a nice trail, still hydrate, it sounds like, and do some stretches. And now, I mean, Adam, are they like kind of simple stretches just to get the muscles moving a little bit and get your body ready to go for the day? Because I'm definitely not that person that wakes up, drinks my coffee, and like starts running right away or anything. I am far from
Yeah.
that.
And there's nothing wrong with that either, Travis. Which you need to remember anytime that you're doing any kind of warm-ups or stretches, that whatever you can provide is going to be good for your body. Movement is medicine. So the more you're moving your body, the more your body is being worked and used, the better you're going to be. You have to really try and remember that stretching is not a complicated thing. It's not difficult. It doesn't need to be something that's like a long conversation. It just needs to be something where you move your body. And when you do that, it actually gets better no matter what. Go outside and go for a little walk. Stretch your hamstrings, stretch your hip flexors. Simple things. If you go online on YouTube and you look up, there's a website called or a YouTube channel, Bob and Brad. There's two older fellas that have been doing physical therapy for a long time. And sometimes they have some pretty decent tips and tricks about, hey, if your back is tight, try this stretch. Or if your shoulders are tight, try this stretch. Those are good things to do, but you can never replace an on-site in your face expert like we have at Advanced. So I guess ultimately when I say move your body, I mean do some bending over, touch your toes, reach up towards the sky, really stretch your body out. Those types of things will be really beneficial for you at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, and I think that's good. And you think about people that are even very active. I mean, they're still can be injury prone, or those that aren't active can still get injuries. So, could you kind of discuss what are some of the most common injuries that you see during the summer months? And you've already kind of provided a little bit of advice on how to prevent those injuries. But what would you say is what's the most common thing you see that's coming in these warmer months that we have?
Most often, unfortunately, chronic low back pain or somebody bent over to pick up a bag of mulch and they tweaked their back when they picked it up. A pulled hamstring from, those weekend warriors trying to play softball out there. You'll see lots of guys pop a hamstring and be like, I don't know what happened. I was running. Well, you didn't stretch and you went out there, had 3 beers, and then decided to try and play softball. That's not going to work. When we say hydrate, we mean water.
Yeah.
Things like that. Like I'll see a lot of hamstring issues. And one of the best ways to prevent that again is get your body warm before. You should have a bit of a sweat before really trying to go out and do a lot of exercise. You shouldn't feel like you're just standing up from a 45-minute sit where your legs are tight. You want to be moving. That is the best thing to do. Now, when you have back pain, That's something you don't mess around with a whole lot. You want to make sure that the back pain isn't, one, debilitating, can't be in screaming pain all the time. And two, if it is, you need to see a professional as soon as possible. You'll see a lot of backs. You'll see some shoulders because people like to throw. Occasionally, you'll see somebody with a sprained ankle who went for a long walk and stepped off the sidewalk. But by and large, we see a lot of back pain and we see a lot of hamstring pulls.
And I think that your background is probably really good at knowing those experiences of, especially being an athlete yourself, but also now a coach for youth sports and high school sports. I am sure like you're constantly seeing how things can progress or injuries even at a younger age, but then you're able to kind of identify them to an older one. So what is that like? I mean, you're working with everything from, 8-year-olds to more experienced adults in age. So what is that like for you guys at Advanced Physical Therapy and as a coach yourself?
Yeah. So coaching is one of my deepest passions. I love every second of it. There's difficulties with all of it, but one of the things that I always make the biggest deal for my players and athletes is we have to make sure we take care of our bodies. A lot of kids, when they're growing up and they're wanting to play in those professional sports and do all these important things, and I want to go to college and play sports, that's great. I respect it. But there's quite a few people that if you're trying to do that, they'll overdo it. They'll play for 3 or 4 different teams. And that's where you're going to start to really develop some pains. You're going to overuse injuries, overworking your muscles and your joints. Those types of things can cause long-term effects. So when I see some of my kids at practice, the number one thing I do is teach them the proper form. Always. Step 1, learn how to do it. Step 2, do it efficiently. And then eventually, once you become efficient at it, then you can start doing it as a part of a practice or as a game. I hate more than anything in the world seeing head injuries with youth. Being a football coach, I have to educate these kids, making sure you guys know how to tackle, be safe with your head, try not to lead with your head. Different ways to circumvent some of the injuries that are more typical for those sports. That's really challenging to do, especially with some of the younger kids. So best way to do it is to get them good role models with good understanding of what should be done and try and teach them to do it the right way. That way they have those skills to carry them forward onto their future, which could be any number of things. You never know who you're coaching, so you always want to do your very best every single time.
Yeah. And I know for me, when going from high school to college, I played soccer. And I remember the different style of warm up. I mean, going from high school, I think we were younger, we could handle it more. But as we got in college, you're with some pretty athletic individuals. But we had a unique warm up that a lot of, your older athletes use that it probably took, at least 20, 25 minutes. And it wasn't just like sprints. It was different type of movements with kind of like skipping or movements of like how your legs would move in a game, and then you'd go to stretching. So it'd probably be like 20 minutes of constant like movements and different rotations. And then we'd go to stretching. So I miss those days when I was in great shape and knew all the proper ways to stretch. Now, if I stretch, I'm just exhausted.
And that's a really important thing to note, though. Warm-up shouldn't be a 30-second thing. One thing that I try and introduce to my young athletes, especially with these kids, because their bodies are so flexible and elastic,
Yeah.
an 8-minute warm-up is ample amounts of warm-up for those younger folks. There, you can get in there and do a dynamic stretching, which isn't stretching, it's moving your body, like you said, in the ways that you're supposed to move, but you do it with the focus of moving with intention, trying to make sure your body is prepared for those movements when you start to do them.
Yeah. And we had, I think about it, we had our senior captains were the ones that were in charge of teaching us the proper way to do it. And as soon as like the dead period was done and we could have our first practice, our coach would have us just work on the warm up until everybody got it down pat. And so if one guy was struggling, the whole team not only kind of ragged them a little bit, but they wanted to make sure that everybody got it correct. That way we could finish our practice and go back to our rooms and relax. So
Exactly. Yeah, that's really important. Having a good role model to make sure they have the proper warm-up techniques, super important.
yeah. So, and we've also, you've touched a lot about how important hydration is. And it's crucial, especially during the summer months. But I also try to think about it. I mean, I feel like no matter what physical activity you're doing, hydration is probably important any time of the year. But can you explain how dehydration impacts physical performance? And once again, like, what are some good hydration level strategies or ideas that people could use?
So yeah, hydration is important for a number of things. Obviously, water is the single most important thing we should be taking in during a day or our lives. The average person, the average active individual male is supposed to drink somewhere between 1.5 to 2 gallons of water per day. The
Wow.
average active female is supposed to be drinking between 1.5 gallons. And the reason that is because when we say activity, your body is using water in many different ways for healthy skin, healthy bones, healthy joints, healthy brain function. And when you're outside sweating and taking all that liquid out of your body because the sun's just pulling it right out, you have to replace it with something. A couple strategies I know of to try and beat some of that hydration goals that people set forward. There are bottles now that have little times on them. 8 a.m. start drinking, 9 a.m. drink a little bit more, and they have little like sections, and that's a really good way to do it. That's fine. I would say try and make a game out of it. Don't drink big guzzles of water. You want to take in small, not sips, but small drinks. And you want to consistently be doing that throughout the day. There's other benefits aside from just being hydrated. It can help your metabolism a whole lot. So if you're drinking lots of water, your metabolism will be running the entire time, which is, really good for weight loss. Having a nice, healthy metabolism is very important. The other reason that water in any kind of hydration is so important is a number of things. One, making sure you're taking in with your water electrolytes. Your body works off of the sodium, magnesium, calcium, all of these different types of electrolytes are important for your body and muscle contraction. One thing that can happen if you don't have enough fluid in your body is you can start cramping. We want to avoid that at all costs because cramping is really hard. Essentially, it's your muscle squeezing so hard and not relaxing. And one of the reasons that happens is if you don't have enough sodium in your body to release it. The other thing is when you think about it like a dry leaf. So you have this dry leaf sitting next to you on a bench, and then you have a nice green leaf. When you take that dry leaf and pick it up in your hand and you give it a gentle squeeze, it crumbles. That's because that leaf does not have any more fluid in it to hold its structures. The green leaf that you crumple a little bit and you open it back up, it's still relatively intact. Try and think of that as our muscles. When you have these dry muscles that don't have a lot of fluid in them, they're more likely to tear, to rupture possibly. And that's one thing that's really scary and another very important reason why we need to be taking in as much hydration as possible.
Oh, yeah. I would say that leaf analogy is amazing and it makes sense. So, and I will say it's so nice that I feel like when I was younger, it would have been great to have one of those kind of bigger jugs that says like different times. Cause I think like in high school and college, our coach was like, all right, this is like the size glass. Try to see how much you can drink. Like one of those things that like, I think if he had something like that, he could have said, hey, this jug, this is how much you should drink in a day. Try to meet these times. I feel like makes life a lot easier on individuals who really want to focus on that hydration side of things.
It really makes a huge difference, like a big difference. If you can, if it, like all things, plan your water intake. Say, I want to have this much done by lunch. I want to have this much done by 2 o'clock. Having that information will give you a little bit more of a goal to work towards, not just this blanket of drink water until you can't breathe. I love that. And you've seen me, I carry my gallon around everywhere I go. I try and fill it up twice a day. If I don't get to it, it's not the end of the world. I'm not going to suddenly die, but it is a goal that I've kept with me for years. And it ultimately just becomes something that you do. A lot of people think if I drink so much water, I'll have to pee. your bladder will adjust. So it is a challenge, but it is very beneficial.
Yeah, good. And two, so along with the hydration and the physical therapy tips, are there some lesser known benefits of physical therapy that people might not be aware of? Especially, there's more, newer sports trends starting. Like I think of pickleball. I have quite a few friends that play, and it's one of those ones where they might not be physically active for a while. Then they discover pickleball and they love it and they get excited about it. But it's a big adjustment. I would think it would be for me too if I'm going on my walks with my dog, but not used to kind of running back and forth. But what are some of those lesser known benefits of physical therapy as people try new sports or new activities?
So actually a really interesting point that I haven't really thought too much about. One of the better benefits of PT when you're talking about what you wouldn't expect, knowing more about your body, understanding how it moves, why it moves, what the muscles do. A lot of people don't understand, like, this area hurts. Yes, that area hurts, but let's differentiate between joint pain and muscular pain. So that's one thing that if you have a good PT who's worth the salt, he'll explain to you or she'll explain to you, this is what's going on. And these are the types of things you need to pay attention to. So for one, knowing more about your body is a really helpful thing. I can't tell you how many patients I've had come in and go, I had no idea that's what was supposed to happen or it was supposed to feel like. I'm so glad I came in and at least did this. So yeah, that's one unexpected thing. Another one is knowing more about exercise, understanding more about what exercises are beneficial for you, what are not. If I have a patient come in and say, should I do this? No, you should never do that. Or yes, absolutely, you should do it all the time. So understanding more about your body is always going to be one of the bigger benefits. We call it patient education. It is super important and beneficial for everybody to know why your back hurts or why your legs hurt, any of that stuff. So I would say that right there, one of the bigger benefits. Surprising benefit number two, I guess having an understanding, like, you have an ally in healthcare that's very close to you. When you'd be surprised how many people I speak with on a daily basis that didn't realize that we have a substantial medical background, and the doctors of physical therapy have done cadaver labs where they start taking pieces of, they'll dissect human bodies. And the reason that's really important is because we have to better understand the bodies that we're working on. Again, surprising to know that you could ask a physical therapist about pharmacology or about, hey, I am taking this medication and it bothers me in this way. Why don't you try and drink some water? Or why don't you try this stretch and see how that feels? It's very surprising to know that the doctors of physical therapy, and even to an extent the PTAs, we can explain these things to you guys in a lot of different ways. And we can benefit you in the same way that you benefit us by coming in. We'll help you guide your health down the road. I like to think of us as we're the most involved with our patients by a lot. There's no other healthcare provider that sees more of their patients than we do, because we're with you 3 to 4 times a week for an hour at a time, and we get to know you over 20, 30 visits. That's pretty common. So I would say understanding that you have an ally in healthcare that's very close to you is also another really big benefit, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. So now here's a good question for everyone that's listening. Tell us, where is Advanced Physical Therapy in Davison located? And if someone was looking for physical therapy, what's the best way to get a hold of you all?
It's located right over by the athletic club or Davison Country Club, whichever one you know about. If you don't know either one of those, it's the corner of M15 in Lippincott. We're right there, kind of tucked back in the corner there. We're easy to get a hold of. We have a bunch of convenient locations. I'll be honest, I don't know our phone number, but that's not really my fault so much as they don't pay me for that.
You know what, though? It is. I think nowadays with the internet and doctors' offices doing referrals, there's ways for people to find out how to get a hold of you all. But I will say it's nice. I know I've stopped by and you guys have given me a tour in the past. It's nice. It's
Oh, yeah.
welcoming. It's the amount of space that you will have to work individually with people is great. And I know you guys, yeah, right down there, like on Fairway Drive, yeah, going towards the Davidson Athletic Club, right next to
Yep.
the Davidson Country Club. So it's an easy location to get to, which is nice.
If anybody has any questions, you can call us at 810-412-5100. So, got that going for us.
You do. And look at that. You got the phone number now, everybody.
Exactly. I totally knew. I remembered right away. One thing I can say, though, is if you're looking to get the therapy services, speak with your primary care physician. Most doctors are very happy to prescribe physical therapy, and it is something that is 90% of the time covered by your insurance. When you get that, all they're going to do is tell you, okay, where do you want to do physical therapy? And you can pick anywhere you want. Now, for me, I would highly recommend our clinic because I know our care is second to none. But it's called open access, go anywhere you want. No doctor can tell you where to go. No physical therapist can tell you where to go. You can pick. There's a lot of resources online. You can Google search, Google reviews and things like that. That might be beneficial. But ultimately, I would probably say just go to the local one, start there and see what you have. Take a tour. We're always happy to. We get our patients in within 48 hours of a call. So no matter what, we're going to try and get everybody in. But if you want to stop in and see what it's all about, you can come in and do that. We also give a free membership to the athletic club whenever you're a patient with us. So another little benefit for you. Just saying.
So I know one thing through the Davidson Chamber that I've really appreciated about advanced physical therapy is your all's involvement in the communities that your offices are all in. So for the Davidson one, I know you guys have always been a sponsor and then participated and set up at our Flip Flop 5K both last year and this year, which has been amazing to have you guys there and part of the event.
It's super fun. The Flip Flop 5K is one of my favorite events. It's near and dear to my heart. You and Johnny, you guys put on a really great event there. So that's a really fun one. Anything that's going to encourage individuals around our area to be active and get exercise is always a benefit. We will say, do not run a 5K in flip flops, Johnny. I don't care what you say. It's not a good idea.
See, we can say that because he's not here. And I completely agree with you. We do encourage people wear tennis shoes. I think Johnny,
please.
Yeah, Johnny's the only person I know that wore flip flops the very first year for it. So I don't think I don't think he enjoyed it, but it is.
I don't. Yeah,
it's great to have you all part of the community and involved in events. And I know when I go to, but you're not just all Davidson. You're bringing in some of the other locations to help with the volunteering. But then I've been in Grand Blanc and I've seen advanced physical therapy team members there at some of their meetings and events. And I think that's one of the important things is you're not just come see us and we'll never see you again until your next scheduled appointment. Chances are you're probably going to see someone at a community event, whether it's a high school sporting event or something you guys have sponsored. And I think I like that you guys are invested where you're located.
Yeah, when I came on to the clinic, Casey Marino, the director, and I had a long conversation about we want to be a part of this community more than we want to be big time providers of care and making lots of money and these masters of industry. We wanted to be a hometown clinic that really provided for everybody in the area. So when we go out there, we're like, as a part of the Pumpkin Fest this year, we don't make money on it and we're not trying to. That's not the goal. The goal is to try and spread the word about PT through all of our neighbors and friends and let everybody know we are here to help. We want to make your day better, or at the very least try. This community is special in the fact that they trust their providers in the area. And that's what we will not take for granted. We want you to trust us. And the best way we can show you is by being out there in the community, trying to make it so that you know our faces when you see us. Dr. Marino is a brilliant individual, and she really tries to stay active with athletics in all facets. And not only just athletics, we're going to be a part of a Flint Community Festival in which they work with young musicians one of my teammates, Jackie Popovich, she is also going to be involved in that very soon when she comes out, and they're doing a little bit more occupational therapy. We do offer occupational therapy as well. So it is a very beneficial thing that we are able to get into the community, and that our administrators and bosses, they are there to provide support for us as well. So I'm a big fan of that whole situation. We are allowed to go out and try and be in the clinic for our neighbors, and we can't thank everybody enough for being there for us.
Yeah. And it seems like you love what you do and really enjoy your team you're part of. Now, as we get ready to kind of finish up and close out the podcast episode, Adam, is there any last little ideas or advice you'd like to give our listeners as they listen to this and then go outside to exercise?
Yeah, like a billion. But I'll start with some pretty simple ones. Move your body. Get up and don't sit. Sitting is the enemy of our health. Our bodies are not supposed to sit for very long, and that's not healthy for them. Drink water. Please, for the love of Pete, drink as much water as you can. Get rid of the energy drinks, and I'm number one most guilty individual here. I drink one a day usually, if not coffee. But try and ditch those for the water. That's going to be highly beneficial for your body. Find a buddy to work with, somebody that's going to hold you accountable, maybe an accountability buddy. That's my fun word for it that I stole from South Park. But having yourself somebody that's going to keep you accountable to yourself, as well as being accountable with somebody else, it is so overlooked. Have somebody to support you in the process that you're going through. If you're looking to get healthy, there's nobody better than a friend to help you push you in the right direction. So try that. And other than that, just try and be happy. Just try and let go of some of the negative things in the world, because there's so much. You can't do therapy without dealing with some sort of emotional regulation. So try your best to let go of all the negative and the horror in the world, and try your best to stay positive. Move your body, drink your water, be positive. You'll live a healthy life. I almost guarantee it.
Wow. I think that is a great way to end it. Adam Amon with Advanced Physical Therapy, and just genuine good person and friend. Thank you so much for coming on the Community Collective podcast today.
Travis, I'm so happy to have, I love you so much, buddy. Listen, speaking of coaching, I'm really excited coming up. We got some coaching to go ahead and get done with football coming up. So it's going to be an absolute blast having Charlie on the team. Really stoked for it.
He's excited. He's been wearing his football helmet, and today we went and got him, his feet have grown, so we got him some new cleats to start wearing. We said, hey, wear him around wear him around outside, some get warm in. So he's pumped. He's ready to get going, and I think we're excited just to have him and have your influence on him as a coach, which we're really looking forward to that. So it's going to be an exciting summer leading into fall, and we're really looking forward to it.
Yes, it will, my brother. Yes, it will. I am so excited, man.
Hey, Adam, thank you so much. And as usual, I love catching up with you, and you share so much great information. I'm going to re-listen to this just to jot down some more notes for myself to become a little bit more healthier and get more active.
I love it. And, worst comes to worst, you can just shoot me a message and we'll chat it out.
I like it. That sounds perfect. Adam, thank you so much.
No problem, brother. Have a great day.
You too.